Today is Friday, November 15th, 2024, and there's a few things I wanted to talk about here today. First of all, I'm up around 2.5%. I'm up 2-ish%, 1.96, and then after hours, another 0.5%. And that's on a day where the NASDAQ is down pretty bad today. So I am happy about that. Definitely outperforming today. Most of the weight today was definitely carried by Palantir. Robinhood also kind of picking it up towards the end. I was down on Robinhood earlier today. Let me see. Yeah, I was down almost 2%, basically 2% today, but Palantir was up so much, it basically carried the entire burden up until the end, of course. And of course, Tesla gaining a little bit, Honest gaining a little bit, well, actually quite a bit for such a small stock. Let me see. Yeah, up about 10% today for Honest, so it's a huge day. And Honest is finally $7 a share, so one step closer to my price target of about $10. And speaking of Honest, I wanted to talk about this interesting relationship, I guess, that I've seen in my personal portfolio and just some headlines on the news. So as you can see, Pepsi is unfortunately down pretty bad. And it's unfortunate because I did borrow like $5,000 worth and I bought Pepsi like a few days before today, and it ended up going down so much, but it's all good. I mean, as you saw, Palantir completely carried everything today. But some people were saying online that this huge move down, along with a lot of pharma stocks, was because of RFK, of course. And even though Honest has been moving up like crazy recently, maybe part of this big move also has to do with the fact that RFK, now I don't like talking about politics and I don't know his exact policies or whatever, but I do know he doesn't like a lot of the things that are in ingredients lists. He doesn't like unhealthy food, those types of things. And what do you know? We have a company in Honest that is very focused on details, ingredients lists. What am I putting in my product? What am I putting on my body? What am I putting in this product that I'm going to be using for my child? You know what I mean? So Honest, I could see it definitely benefiting, but a lot of this move I think is reactionary, and I'm going to explain why. I understand that Pepsi may have seemed a bit too complacent because they are one of the two top dogs, with Coca-Cola being the other one. So they were a little complacent with where they were. They were a little bit late to the game in terms of this healthy trend with them buying Siete chips. And speaking of Siete, I actually have some in my car right now. I just bought some. And by the way, the churro one is really good. Anyways, so they're a little bit late to the game. And one of the small reasons why they bought Siete wasn't just because it was a good brand, good product, good ingredients, etc., but it was also to kind of hedge Trump becoming president, appointing RFK, whatever. And then all of the unhealthy stocks, quote unquote, like pharma stocks, all the junk food stocks, whatever, the sin stocks, whatever you want to call it, they all go down. And then like the quote unquote healthy stocks, maybe stocks like Honest, those go up. Perhaps they did buy Siete as kind of a hedge, and I don't think they bought it too late. Obviously, if they would have waited for Trump to become president, appoint RFK, and then they panic and buy Siete and pay even more of a premium just because they're panicking and they're in a lesser negotiating position, obviously that would have been too late. It is obvious that Pepsi was very complacent and they bought Siete to dip their toes in the quote unquote healthy market. But one of the reasons why I think the market is kind of over exaggerating this and kind of blowing it out of proportion is because if you think about it logically, if there is some super strict, drastic change in regulation where companies like big pharma companies, they can't sell the products that they want to sell, companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, etc., they can't sell the products that they've been selling because of these little tiny things in their ingredients list. Basically, every company has to be like Honest or be like Siete Foods, whatever, has to be super organic, super healthy. well, then Honest would kind of lose their position in the market, even though they have carved out a very nice niche. And I think that company has an amazing attention to detail that most companies don't have. Well, I don't want to say most companies, but a lot of companies don't have attention to detail. And just a quick example is anybody that has bought Honest wipes will notice that their container is so much smoother. I can't really explain it without showing. Like when you open up the tab to pull out a baby wipe, whatever, the tab itself is so much smoother. Like the amount of attention to detail for like OCD, super, whatever you want to call me, like people like me that like just pay attention to the stupidest little things. People like me, we notice those things, and I think they've carved out a nice niche. But even though they've carved out a nice niche, if super drastic regulation comes in, every company has to be, watching their ingredients, whatever, watching their materials, then that would just hurt Honest, and it would help Pepsi, to be honest. And I didn't mean to say Honest twice there, but yeah, I think this is just completely reactionary because the market was already pricing in Trump victory. Market already knew RFK was kind of with Trump. Market already knows where RFK stands with all of this. Market already knew that Pepsi was kind of an unhealthy company, whatever. And so it should have been pricing in this big dip before all of this hit the news, whatever, right? But instead, we get the news, we get this big drop in Pepsi, and I just think people are panicking. If people were selling Pepsi hard before the election, and then during the election, it sold off even harder, then leading into that election, I'd be like, okay, it seems like some people are in the know and Trump is probably going to win, and there's probably going to be some like stupid, super strict regulation. But this is after the news, right? The news is already out and people are over exaggerating. They're selling Pepsi off even though they just bought Siete and they're going to be a more quote unquote healthy company. Hopefully, some people speculate that they're going to completely change Siete and just cheap out, but I hope not. And so because of this, I did go ahead and buy a little bit more Pepsi. I know it's stupid, but I think people were panicking and I just wanted to scoop up some.